Hi. Um, so let me just see. Wow, so late in here. And wow, it happens. It happens lately that I keep on forgetting about Tuesday's meetings. So forgive me for being absent yesterday. I'm here today at very late hour to talk about Christina. So last time when I saw you, it was so loud in a sorry club that I think I will start with Christina right from the beginning. So she was born on the 18th of December 1980, and she has recorded 9 albums. Two of them were in Spanish, and yeah, seven of them were in English. So we have Christina Aguilera. I'm giving you the titles because they can be very symbolic as usual. So we have Christina Aguilera in 1999. Then we have Mi Reflejo, the Spanish album. My Kind of Christmas, Strict, Back to Basics, Bionic Lotus, Liberation, Aguilera. Well, I think Strict is very exact, and I think that's the exact and explicit connection to the film Burlesque, in which we see Christina acting in the main role. And Lotus is also quite symbolic too. It can be understanding of judgment in it all, right? So Christina was probably born in Staten Island in Pennsylvania, and her mom is shift, and her father, Fausto Xavier Aguilera, was military. He was a surgeon in the USA Army. Whereas Shelley Lorraine Fiedler has very symbolic name and surname because Shelley, from Old English, means bank, and Lorraine has something to do with Lothar and Lotharingia, and Fiedler means the violinist. When it comes to Christina's name, well, Christina means from Latin flower of Christ, and Aguilera means from Spanish an eagle, and that symbolizes freedom, strength, and vision. So we have a flower of Christ and an eagle, right? So Christina started, maybe not started, but sang in the Mickey Mouse Club in 1993, alongside of Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake. And Christina had 3 relationships, and this is very interesting because I also had like 3 relationships. So, she was in a relationship with George Santos, Jordan Bratman, and Matthew Rutler. With Jordan Bratman, she had a son, Max, born in 2008. And with Matthew Rutler, she has a daughter named Summer Rain, born in 2014. So George Santos, we're going to have a look at the names and its symbolism. George Santos, George means a farmer, an earth worker, and Santos means saints. Um, so my association of George Santos is with an association with the island called Santorini. And the reason why is because I used to teach in early stage, and this is where I came across that island, and that article, it just stayed with me, and lately it was coming back to me quite. It's a Greek island, and in the past, in the 13th century, it was called Santa Irini from Saint Irene. It was a name from a chapel in the island. And before that, the island from the ruler of the world. So in that island, you have Pyrgos, you have Red Beach, you have Fira, you have Ia, and you have Akrotiri and Santorinere. So these are the places you can visit in the island. And when it comes to Pyrgos, well, in the village where my mother comes from, there used to be a priest called Pyrek. And the island, before it was called Saint Irene, after Saint Irene, well, it used to be called Terra, right? So that's derived from the word Teras or Teresa. So that's the name of my grandmother. So in my mother's neighborhood, in my mother's environment, there was Teresa and there was Pyrek. So I think the island can be symbolic because you can find a lot of red stone over there in Red Beach. You can find a lot of red stone. And my mother used to work with a lot of stones. She used to sell natural stone. And I remember one time this transport arrived and all of us were helping. And we had to unload a very big car with red stone and I think with yellow stone. So this Red Beach is really, I've seen it on YouTube and something unforgettable. And then we have Fira. That's the capital of Santorini. We have Ia. So in my environment, my niece is named Inya, and that sounds very close to Ia. And in Akrotiri, in 16th, in 160 before Christ, there was the biggest volcanic eruption ever. I'm just checking. Forgive me, the internet. Yeah, so there was the biggest eruption ever, and that was called. Okay, that's jumping out. Mignon on or Terra eruption. It is connected with ancient civilization where there was King Minos and a Minotaur and the story of the labyrinth. But, that volcanic eruption, the lava and the pyroclastic flow and anything that came out of the mountain was moving with very high speed of 700 kilometers per hour. And that means it was just covering everything around very, very quickly. And when you think about the pyroclastic flow, so the name of it, pyro, stands for fire, and clastus stands for broken, and that altogether means broken by fire. And it can also indicate a fragmented, which for me is for me, it brings in the question because I remember working on my bachelor thesis, and I remember having the text a little bit, maybe not even a little bit, but having the text like fragmented. Like there were moments where some snippets were maybe were interesting, but they were standing out and they were not incorporated in the entire text, right? So in that sense, there were strong divisions in the text, and we could call such a text fragmented. When it comes to the name of, Terra eruption or Mignon eruption, we have a yogurt called Mignons, don't we? That we all know. think, the flag that consists of five blue stripes and four white stripes, the flag of Greece, that's got, the cross on it too, that stands for Greek Orthodoxy, Greek War of Independence. The stripes on the flag of Greece symbolize expression of freedom or death. Um, yeah, I've mentioned stripes in a lot of other contexts, like, stripes in the circus, stripes on the pajamas in ghettos, and stripes in the flags, and stripes in burlesque. So that's the film in which we have Christina Aguilera starring in the main role. So the girls in that film are very often dressed in stripes, which, well, okay, we'll get back to it later on. So we have, the first relationship of Christina. You remember she had three relationships with George Santos, with Jordan Bratman, and Matthew Rutler, right? So George Santos, we're going to talk about his symbolism, his name, his surname. So it comes from the word Jordan. It can indicate flow down, or it can be associated with the Jordan River. And Jordan Bratman, for me, Bratman stands close to the word brotherhood. So, there are lots of types of brotherhood in literature, like brotherhood of steel, or brotherhood without banners, brotherhood of evil mutants, X-Men comics, Marvel, or brotherhood secret societies such as Da Vinci Code or Dan Brown. There is also free monsery, so brotherhood of Monsons, right, of the walls. And, Jordan Bratman, so we have the river, associations with Jordan River, and we have Bratman that stands close to, like, brotherhood and Batman. Yeah, so what do we know about Batman? It was written by Bob Kane, Bill Finger in 1939, and it depicts Bruce Wayne, a businessman in a Gotham City who became Batman after his parents were killed in an accident. And, I mention Batman because in a secondary school, I was taught by Mrs. Batko. I think that sounds very close to Batman, Batko. And I met a man with the surname Bator, and he was a history teacher. And he was the one who was into, knights. And he used to belong to possibly to some brotherhood, to some, meetings where guys would just wear the entire armor and they would have fights. Yeah. I think, when you think about bats are basically, I read in Jerzy Picowski's book that bats are a very happy, the token or symbol for the gypsy. And they are nocturnal animals, and they can see in the dark, and they can come in twins to the world. So bats typically can have one child a year, but they can also give a birth to twins. And once they are born, they are totally dependent on their parents because they can't see for a while and they are hairless at the beginning. So they come to the world blind. Yeah, so we have discussed some associations of Jordan Bratman. It sounds like, Batman, or you can associate it with brotherhood, because in the movie, Marcus Gerber is acted out by Brad Pitt. So Brad Pitt for me, that's like brotherhood, brings in associations. All right, so we have George Santons, Jordan Bratman, and we have Matthew Luther. So Matthew means gift of God, and Christina and Matthew met during the production of Burlesque in 2010. And what actually is burlesque is a kind of a satire, parody, and exaggeration that mocks serious works of art. And burlesque also stands for body expression and body empowerment. And the film depicts the story of Alice Rose, um, who comes from Iowa, but she moves to Los Angeles. And at the beginning of the film, we see that Alice she fights to get a job in this burlesque club, and when I was being employed in a strip club, I was kind of encouraged to fight too. At least this is how it could be interpreted, because I was suggested that I was like so, and the lady left the room, and when she got back, two of them were looking at me, and I was asked if I wanted to work, and I was like, no. So I didn't say that, but in my mind, I had this word quite heavily, circulating in my mind. So I didn't want to work as a stripper, and yet I have done that. So acting out the fight for the job didn't come out well in my case. Yeah. And Alice means noble. And of course, we have the connection to Alice from Wonderland, the story written by Lewis Carroll. And, you already know that Christina Aguilera, that, Christina is a flower of God, flower of Christ, and Aguilera is an eagle. Aguilera is a Spanish word, and she is being employed by Tess. So Tess is like Teresa, and Teresa's name is a harvester or a reaper. So Teresa comes back to us in the name of Santorini, because that was used to be called Terra. We also have the name for the volcanic eruption, which is Terra eruption. And we also have in the film Burlesque, we have Tess, who is the owner of the club. And in fact, that role is played by Cherlyn Sarkisian, so by Cher, or Cher. She used to be a singer, and I think we all used to know her. So Sarkisian, the surname, Cher's surname Sarkisian means Sarkis, and it's a descendant of Sarkis. And Cher means deer. Okay, so what I wanted to tell you here is that the language of the film seems to be very deliberate and very purposeful, and there isn't too much of the dialogue basically, but when it appears, it either speaks about the air, it either speaks about the money, it either speaks about money, air, and there may be some other references, but I just caught up a lot of these, like there is nothing over there. Where did you buy air? And the rights to the air rights, it's it's the right to own the area about the building, or the view on the ocean is gonna vanish, or you are you're making some air with your eyelashes. Where did you get this? From the air. You're going to get out of here with the speed of the light. So there's a reference to the light. Um, Under the city lights, but that's in the song. The reference in the song. That Ali's boyfriend wrote for her. And references to the money speak about, the envelopes that Tess receives. Like, have you read the envelopes from the bank? Baby, it's gonna cost you that, from the song. If you have a bit of extra, give it to the band. That's from the song. Two mortgage, and she has taken two mortgages, and if she doesn't pay that amount of money, she's gonna lose the club. We also learn about, the plot of Jack and Ali being together. She moves into his place, and he asked her to pay him. And finally, they end up in the bed. But the way it is done is that he makes a striptease to her, and when doing so, he just enters her room. And first he does that because he's thirsty, then he's hungry, and then he walks with just a Nesquik covering his private parts. So Nesquik is the bunny, Nesquik cornflakes depicts, blue and yellow all together, and we have the bunny. So that's the symbol of Playboy. And as he's thirsty and then he's hungry, so we have the linkage, a very explicit linkage of sexual desires with, the appetite, right? With eating, with drinking, with meeting our needs. So in fact, we see a woman who sleeps with a man who's got a girlfriend. So Jack has got Natalie on the phone when he sleeps with Ali. So some moment in time in the movie, these two women meet each other. So, I think that this was trying to be forced in my life too, because, well, I happened to meet, the man, and I almost had a fling with him, but in fact we didn't have a fling, and then I was introduced to his wife, like, after 3 days of seeing him at work, right? In the movie we see that Ali comes over there and she doesn't know how to put some makeup on, and I was actually quite old when I learned how to put a full makeup on my face. So all women around me, maybe except Agatha, but they were modeling for me like lack of makeup. So what was interesting for me is that when I started to look at the details, at the movie in more details, then I saw Bobo Sunset and Bobova. I saw the visit cards of Marcus Geber and the words like Bobo Sunset, Bobova. So we have references to Bobo is like fear, Sunset is the sun, and then Bobova is actually the place where my mother it's my mother comes from a small village, and then there is this town Bobova, and that's 3 kilometers away from the village. We learn about the block of flats that's very high, like 80. And what I caught was also the stairs. So to enter the burlesque club, you had to take the stairs, and I saw that type of stairs in the monastery. So there were two types of stairs: the main stairs, and there were the second type of stairs, which was wooden stairs, which was very unusual because you could see the stairs just when taking the main stairs. You could see the wooden stairs in the old tenant house where I used to live in Baurva Street. We also had the main stairs, and then there was this wooden type of stair that was linking the toilets because we had public toilets. Um, that was unusual. And in cathedrals, you have lots of stairs too, because you have stairs taking you up to the tower, and you have stairs downstairs where you have, well, probably some coffins and probably some rituals too. In the songs, you have find a lot of references, to Tiffany, Coco Chanel, Cardinal, Black Star, Diamonds, Coco. Also, there were references like Oi Caramba or Casablanca. So yeah, these are things to check out. Um, And the story goes that the girls don't like Ali at the beginning, and just with time, she's earning her place, so to say. And she had a friend Nikki who didn't like her especially. And Nikki had a specific type of hair. She would wear her hair in a specific way. And my sister Agatha used to wear her hair in the same way like Nikki did. And Nikki broke the her boss's window in the car. What else that I wanted to tell you is that we have the linkage with Alice in Wonderland in the main character of Christina, so Alice Rose. We have the linkage to AliExpress. So AliExpress was created by founded by Jack Ma, and Ma in Chinese means a horse. And AliExpress was created in 2010 by Alibaba Group. It's a multinational conglomerate. It's an online retail service. And when it comes to the word express, it actually means that you have a service that is done very quickly. You can say or tell something in words or in gestures, so you can express. You can also give clear, explicit instructions, and you can give a service that is done faster than usual. So we also have express train or express bus. They are faster than usual ones, right? So Alibaba Group is a multinational conglomerate, e-commerce retailer. Um, and there is also Alipay, which is a digital service, parts of Alibaba ecosystem, um, created by Jack Ma and the group of 17 others. I think there will be more names related with Ali, like Alier Bank and so on. And I do believe that the story of burlesque, the story of Alice Rose, is linked with the story of Ariel, who sells her legs to the witch. Um, so sells her voice to the witch, and in burlesque there are references to the voice too, like there were at least 2 or 3 utterances. Do you listen to the sound of your own voice? I wish you to say thank you, and I think there was one more utterance with regard to the voice. And in one of the scenes in burlesque, you see Christina Aguilera being dressed in a dress that resembles a mermaid, and my mother had a dress that resembled a mermaid too, but of a different color. So within that movie, I had lots of references to leather jacket that my mother always wanted me to wear, and I kind of didn't want it. Or to the dress that was, had very specific color and was very, very similar, just a few differences in sleeves. Um, when it comes to the jewelry, I saw Christina performing as a teenager on the stage in a Mickey Mouse. So I had the same stripe with a little dot in the middle, and I used to like it. And I even got the same type of swimsuit that the girls who perform in burlesque wear. You also could see, lots of stripes. You could see the costume of the policewoman, and it wasn't something that I received that was gifted to me, but it was something that we gave to my oldest sister for her wedding night. So, yeah, I don't think it was a random idea, but it also sticks with, the story of a woman marrying a policeman. Okay, you guys. So, I think we'll continue. Yeah, we'll continue next Tuesday, 8:33. Forgive me for, for being a little bit off this week yet again, and hopefully next Tuesday, 8:33, we should be there right on time. So, thanks for being here. Take care, and talk to you soon.